Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel and happy October, or the first day of Halloween. Today I will be talking about my TBR list for the month of October. Now, I am not as much into the book community as I would like to be at this point, so it wasn't until yesterday that I realized that there was going to be an October reading challenge. And I should have known, but I didn't even bother to look it up, and then when I seen it, I don't really have any time to prepare for it. So I will not be doing a reading challenge for the month of October except for my own. And I'm dubbing my reading challenge Kingtober because I am reading all Stephen King books for the month of October. Now, I only have 3 right here. If I get through these books, then I will add to these books. But right now, these are the 3 that I really want to read for the month of October, and I'm excited about reading them. So, first we have the Pet Sematary, which I've actually already started reading last night because I got done with the last book I was reading, and I am on page 44 and I'm already in love with it. At least in the first part, because it's been a long time since I've seen the Pet Sematary, the movie. I've never actually read the book before, and so I don't really remember exactly. I obviously know what happens for the most part, but at least in the first 45 pages, the family so far reminds me a lot of mine, and I'll talk about that whenever I actually review the book in full or whatever, but so far I'm in love with it. And the preface is, when Dr. Louis Creed takes a new job and moves his family to the idyllic and rural town of Ludlow, Maine, this new beginning seems too good to be true. Except Ludlow's tranquility, there's an undercurrent of danger that exists there. Those trucks on the road outside Creed's beautiful old home travel just a little too quickly for one thing, as evidenced by the makeshift pet cemetery out back in the nearby woods. There are warnings to Louis, both real and from the depths of his nightmares, that he should not venture beyond the borders of his little graveyard. A bone-chilling truth is hidden there, one more terrifying than death itself, and hideously more powerful. An ominous fate befalls anyone who dares tamper with this forbidden place, as Louis is about to discover for himself. Now, there is a small introduction in the first of the book that actually talks about kind of the story behind Pet Sematary, and it says, when I'm frequently asked what I consider to be the most frightening book I ever written, the answer I always come easily and with no hesitation is Pet Sematary. It may not be the one that scares readers the most based on the mail. I guess the one that does that is probably The Shining. But fear born, like the funny bone, is located in different places on different people. All I know is Pet Sematary is the one I put away in a drawer, thinking that I had finally gone too far. Time suggests that I had not, at least in terms of what the public would accept, but certainly I had gone too far in terms of my own personal feelings. Put simply, I was horrified by what I have written and the conclusions I have drawn. I've told the story about how the book came to be written before, but I guess I can tell it one more time. Last time pays for all. So there's a couple pages of this introduction that he actually talks about, and really, a lot of the beginning of the story, he actually lived in his own life. They moved into a house, and it was in a rural community, and on this road, these massive semis were driving up and down this road very fast. His neighbor across the street came over and introduced himself and all that stuff, and told him to be careful of your children and your children's pets, that the road ate up a lot of pets. And there actually was a pet cemetery in the woods behind his house. Well, one day, his daughter's cat ended up dead on the road, and they buried the cat in the pet cemetery. And so, actually, what the kid wrote on the kind of grave was Smucky, which was the cat's name, and he was obedient, which he thought was funny because Smucky wasn't the least obedient. Of course, he was a cat, for heaven's sakes. And it's funny because in the story, Smucky's grave is in the pet cemetery when they go and visit it the first time. And he talks about his his daughter going through the grief of that, and, you know, yelling, "He was my cat. Let God have his own cat. Smokey was my cat," which actually made it into the story as well. And I find it fascinating that that actually happened to him. And his younger son was actually running toward the road at one point, and he had to run and go get him, which I know happens in the story, at least from what I remember in the movie, that happens, that the little boy takes off running toward the road. Now, in the movie, I believe the neighbor comes across and gets him from the road, if I remember the movie correctly. Now, I have not got to that point in the book yet. But I think it's kind of cool because I had no idea that, you know, this was kind of based on what was happening to him at the time. Now, obviously, the stuff that happens later in the book doesn't actually happen. But I'm just captivated by this story, and I can't wait to read more. So the next book I have is The Shining. Now, I have watched the movie fairly recently, with like in the last year, and I did choose this book because it is one thing that I was familiar with, and I wanted to read the story of it. And also for the fact that, according to the introduction in the Pet Sematary, The Shining is the scariest book he's ever written. Now, that introduction was written in 2000, so he could have a scarier book out now. But I think The Shining is a major classic for Stephen King, along with Pet Sematary, and I'm excited to read it. I want to get through Pet Sematary first, and then I think I might go ahead and dive into this one next, The Shining. Jack Torrance's new job at the Overlook Hotel is the perfect chance for a fresh start. As the off-season caretaker at the atmospheric old hotel, he'll have plenty of time to spend reconnecting with his family and working on his writing. But as the harsh winter weather sets in, the idyllic location feels a little bit more remote and more sinister. And the only one to notice the strange and terrible forces gathering around the Overlook Hotel is Danny Torrance, a uniquely gifted 5-year-old. So we'll see. And then I did not know that there was a sequel called Dr. Sleep. So if there is time for the month of October to read another Stephen King, I may have to read Dr. Sleep. We'll see. We'll see what I think of it when I get to the end. And this is a pretty long book for it being as little as it is. There's 660 pages. So we'll see how that goes. And then the last one, which I'm kind of surprised, when I was in high school, I went to a vocational school, and we had these 2 ferrets that were kind of the class pets or whatever. And there was this white one who, he was just a little shit. I mean, he was kind of mean to a certain extent and stuff. So they were trying to figure out a name. So I said, let's name him Cujo. Nobody knew who the hell I was talking about. I remember watching Cujo as a kid, very young, and it scared the crap out of me as a kid, with this, you know, massive dog, and they're trapped in the car and all this other stuff, which is funny because Cujo actually kind of makes a appearance in The Shining, because they talk about this rabid dog killing 4 people, and I know that they're talking about Cujo, which is kind of cool. But no one knew what I was talking about with Cujo, so I don't know if Cujo is maybe less known than other Stephen King works, or if it was just the group of people I was with. It could have been the group of people I was with, too. But, Cujo. A big friendly dog chases a rabbit into a hidden underground cave and stirs a sleeping evil crueler than death itself. A terrified 4-year-old boy sees his bedroom closet door swing open by an untouched human hands and screams at the unholy red eyes gleaming in the darkness. The little Maine town of Castle Rock is about to be invaded by the most hideous menace ever to savage the flesh and devour the mind. And I actually got this book a very, very long time ago. I got it at a used bookstore. It has been well loved, and I have not read it yet. And I always wanted to read it along with the Pet Sematary. So I'm excited to read it as well. So that's the 3 books I have now. Now, I do have Stephen King's It. However, it is like 1,000 pages long, and I do not have the time to read a 1,000-page book right now. So I will probably have to get back to that at a later date. However, if I do have enough time to read a 4th book for the month of October, which I'm trying to at least read 4 books a month, that'd be a book a week. So I'm hoping if I do have the time to read it, then I will probably be, if I do like The Shining, that I will read Dr. Sleep afterwards, if I have the time. So that is my TBR list for the month of October, or Kingtober as for myself. And I will update you guys as I read these. And as fast as I started reading Pet Sematary, I will probably be done with it, hopefully, before too long. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.